Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride. Though his mind is not for rent, don't put him down as arrogant. His reserve a quiet defense, riding out the day's events. The drift. The world is love and life are deep. Maybe as his skies are wide. Today's Tom Sawyer, he gets high on you. When the space he invades, he gets by on you. We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. Get off his fucking neck. Don't let me shoot you. He can't fucking breathe. Don't let me shoot you. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned.
If it's Thursday, who the fuck is that guy?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where anybody can get a tree dropped on their fucking power line. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are obviously back after a long delay. Yes, Mother Nature gave me the finger. And how? I literally had a tree drop on the fucking power line. I was the only house for blocks around that had no fucking power for a week and a half. But we are back. We have power. Obviously, everything is looking to start trying to be right in the world once again. That being said, I've got the glorious panel here with me, as is the case more often than not, to get into all the shit talk and the shenanigans, the fight announcements, and the fuckery that has dripped out the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. So before we get into all that fun and fuckery, gentlemen, how the hell are you doing over there?
Welcome back after a long hiatus, and myself included, because I took the previous week off, and unfortunately, I didn't get to be here last week because Mother Nature had better plans. So, I got a couple extra weeks. So, we're back, though. And
Damn right.
what a decent week to come back on. I'll say decent.
Yeah, definitely decent.
Life been fucking me this week. Been a little under the weather, but I'm glad we're back as well. Really enjoy getting to do this shit, talk bullshit with you boys every week. So missed the last pay-per-view too, so I'm glad I'm fucking here. Whether I feel like shit or not, I'm ready to get this on later tonight.
Hell yes.
It's really the competition of who talks the best shit on Bilal Muhammad. That's how I'm looking at this pit.
Very much, it very much could come down to who could rip Bilal the best. Absolutely. So that being said, let's get this shenanigan shit show on the road. So that being said, we will kick things off the way we like to around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight announcements, fight cancellations, injuries, retirements, you name it. We've got a little bit of fucking everything here. Obviously, with us having an extra week off, there is a shit ton of news to compress down into a time frame here. So obviously, we're not going over everything. We are just going over the juiciest tidbits here, the shenanigans, and the littler things you can find over on the I'm No Joe Discord, link scrolling across the bottom or in the description, no matter where you are watching or listening to this. Wink. That being said, we actually don't have to tie back to last weekend for anything right now. We actually get to start just looking forward. The bad part about that is the first thing we've got looking forward is Joel Alvarez is out of the fight this weekend. So that fucking sucks. Turns out Joel Alvarez hurt his hand just this last weekend, and we found out just Tuesday that his hand was so bad it's most likely going to require surgery, and there's no way possible for him to make the fight against Benoit Saint-Denis in Canada this weekend. Luckily for us and everyone involved, I suppose, we had someone step up very last minute to save that slot on the pay-per-view card for 315. One Kyle Prepolek, I believe is how he pronounces his name, is going to be stepping in to take over for Joel Alvarez and fighting Benoit Saint-Denis on short notice. Always love the short notice fights as long as they are all prepared. Obviously, BSD was in camp. He's still going to be ready. Hopefully, this Kyle gentleman has got his ducks in a row and is ready to step up to the big show. Making his debut on a pay-per-view card is nothing slight of a tall order for anybody. Hopefully, he can hold himself up to the lights that are going to be shining on him here, but we will find out about that this weekend. We got announcements from the other side of the punchykicky pond, as it were. PFL has had a lot of rumors flying across the web for the last couple weeks here. And then out of nowhere, just this week, they announced officially that the May 23rd Paris card, the second time they have tried to book a card in Paris, has officially been canceled with no reason given as to the cancellation. But they did make an official statement saying that they are hoping to reschedule the card, which unfortunately was exactly the same thing they said last time they tried to do this 2 years ago in Paris. So unfortunately, Archie Colgan is not going to get his main event after all, which sucks all the way around because that card was actually stacked fairly nicely here. The silver lining, if there is one in this situation, is that all ticket holders are immediately granted full refunds for their tickets. So you're not technically out any cash if you were paying to go over to Paris to see that. Just a lot of time and frustration, which sucks for the quote unquote co-leader in combat sports. That being said, back over to the UFC side of things, we have got a metric fuck ton of interesting fight announcements. So I'm going to run through them here as quick as I can. Again, just the juiciest tidbits here. The rest of the kit and caboodles can all be found over on the I'm No Joe Discord. June 7th in Newark, New Jersey, UFC 316, our next pay-per-view coming up next month. Chaos Williams stepping in to take Urosh Medic on, the doctor getting back to action. That could be a very interesting fight. Could be a boring 15. Could be a very fun 43 seconds, though, as well. So very curious how that one could play out. June 21st, UFC Baku, the UFC making its debut in Azerbaijan, got the fight that we had all heard the rumors about. It's officially been confirmed. Rafael Fiziev versus Ignacio Bahamondes, now announced officially as the co-main event for the UFC Baku card. Rafael Fiziev was raised in Azerbaijan, so that's going to get that whole fucking building rocking if nothing else on that whole card does. And then that main event is just poised for fucking fireworks as well. So chef's kiss matchmaking there on the UFC's part, in my opinion. Moving forward to the next pay-per-view, jumping after that, June 28th from Las Vegas for International Fight Week. UFC 317 had a pair of interesting announcements added to it this week. The first one on the ladies' side of things, Viviane Araújo trying to step back in and get some fucking clout going back on, taking on Tracy Cortez, who looks to regain some momentum after getting her literal fake eyelashes punched off by Rose Namajunas. Interesting that they put that on International Fight Week, but you know, we all understand why. The other one that I am very excited for, excuse me, added to that International Fight Week card, obviously not the main event that we're all still waiting for. That's literally hanging in the balance of what happens this weekend. But another interesting fight nonetheless here, stepping back into the cage after an 18-month layoff, the Joker himself, Jack Hermanson, stepping in to take on none other than Buff Obama, RoboCop himself, Gregory Rodriguez. That is two kill or be killed motherfuckers getting ready to step into the cage on the pay-per-view for International Fight Week, and I'm fucking here for it. That's some decent matchmaking. Moving on along from there, the following pay-per-view, UFC 318, July 19th from New Orleans, Poirier's retirement pay-per-view. Interesting matchup added to it here. Brandon Allen taking on Marvin Vettori. The first time we've seen Marvin Vettori even mentioning Fightworks since the tragedy happening to his family earlier this year. So good to see him starting to move forward here. I think, honestly, it's going to be a fairly interesting matchup. Skill for skill, those two could put on a very fun fight for that NOLA card. Not so fun news on the other side of the pond here. We got word last week that Stamp Fairtex has a serious injury going on and will not be able to fight in time for the August 1st international debut, or excuse me, the Denver debut of One Championship International. So not only has Stamp Fairtex relinquished her belt and they have promoted Denise Zambawanga to full champion and are rescheduling her next bout around a title defense instead of being interim champ, they have completely postponed the entire One Championship card that was coming to Denver in August. They moved it all the way back to June 26th of 2026. So all the way to next summer. One's got a whole big shakeup going on right now because that had all sorts of fun on that card. A couple of interesting ones here we'll run through real quick. The first one, I don't think anyone's really surprised that it happened, only surprised that they got caught. But Tyler Santos has officially been given a 6-month suspension for not one, but 2 different anabolic steroids in her competition samples against Juliana Velasquez. Duh. Nobody was really surprised by that one. The one that did surprise me, though, excuse me, was the one that they announced this week. Douglas Silva de Andrade, the little dynamo that he is, popped hot for a tainted supplement, turned in his supplement that he said was tainted. WADA verified that it was tainted, bought a brand new unopened bottle of the supplement, had it sent off to a third-party lab, who then confirmed that the brand new bottle was in fact tainted as well. So because he did confirm on multiple different ways here through the verified labs, he did not intentionally try to take any of these substances that they found in his system. He's only been given the 6 months, but this is again one of those fucking situations that we talk about all the time. You're still getting 6 months because everyone on the UFC roster, from the Contender Series scrubs to the title holding fucking champions, get free supplements delivered to them as long as they are on the roster, even while not actively competing. All supplements that are guaranteed verified clean from the UFC and Thorne Laboratories, the only verified source for UFC fighters to get supplements. I don't understand why at this point anyone is still doing anything outside of that fucking regimen. Sponsorship money, I promise you, is not worth 6 months and your name getting drugged through the fucking headlines for popping hot. Just take the free shit that they give you that's going to work the same as the shit your sponsors are paying you to take. That being said, the one that did surprise me in the news this week, probably more than anything else I read, Brad Tavares has officially fought out his last fight on the contract, and the UFC has released him after 15 years on the roster. Obviously, in this situation, there is still a chance the UFC could decide to re-sign him, but when asked about it, everyone in the UFC, obviously speaking under anonymity, all said there is no interest to pursue that. So at this point, it looks like Brad Tavares is pretty much going to be done with the UFC, leaving with a professional record of 21-10. Not the worst, not the best, but we will see what the road holds for Mr. Tavares, because he will end up somewhere else. He is not the world's worst fighter. He might not be your champion, but he is far from the lowest fucking fighter that the UFC has had on their roster in a long fucking time. That being said, we did get a pair of official hangups this week. The first one come from Dan Argueta. The UFC had officially just released him, and he had decided that upon being released from the UFC, that's as good of a sign as any to call it quits. So Dan Argueta has officially retired from MMA with a record of 9-3 as a professional. Damn good record, but you got to do what you got to do. Excuse me. The other side of that, the one that did kind of catch me by surprise, Vince from Hell Pichel has decided that at 42 years of age, he's just done putting his body through this routine, and his effort is better spent in other directions. I cannot say that I blame him, but god damn, if that man did not put on some fucking spectacular fights. This would be one of those situations, though, where a great fighter has decided that while he is still able to legibly sign his name and tie his own shoes, he's going to hang the gloves up and walk off into the sunset. And you cannot fucking be mad for that, because the alternative is nothing pretty. So, tip of the cap to From Hell Pichel for putting on some fucking spectacular fights during his career run. And if you are not familiar with his particular body of work, when we are done with this show, I absolutely encourage you, take a few minutes out of your day, just throw his name into a search menu anywhere and watch some of the videos that come up. Sometimes he's on the receiving end, sometimes he's on the dealing end, but that man was the embodiment of with your shield or on it. Every time he went out there, he gave you a fucking show one way or another. So have a great journey, Vince Pichel. Can't wait to see what's next, because that guy's going to have something to do. That being said, It's not happy, but it does deserve talking about for just a brief moment here, and that's all I'm going to give it, is just a brief moment here. But during the time that we were gone, to the surprise of very few who've been paying attention, there was a very serious arrest down in Florida of a gentleman by the name of Cedric Dumas, the same woman that he was arrested for previously assaulting. He went back and had more problems with because they share a child. So he went back and caused more problems big time and is now sitting in jail after they arrested him, hiding in a dog kennel in a fucking shed, and is now sitting on $500,000 bond, saying he's likely not going to get out. He's going to have to wait and see the judge. UFC, of course, still has no fucking official comment on anything, this being the second time this fuck up has fucked up in a grand scale here, and the UFC still will not invoke their quote unquote morality clause that they were so quick to use to strip John Jones when he hit the pregnant lady with a fucking car. Hasn't really been used much since then, but they were quick to enact it when it meant something back then. Now that they've had multiple fucking opportunities in perfect situations to enact a morality clause, like, say, when a gentleman physically assaults his significant other for a second fucking time in less than a calendar year and gets arrested for it, so it's not speculation, it's public fucking record, maybe that's time that you take some of the fucking trash off the goddamn roster and clean the organization up a little bit. Huh, Dana, Hunter? Mick? Fucking idiot.
No, because he'll just have to live with that for the rest of his life, knowing what he did.
That's going to be his punishment. We all know that. He's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. That being said, that's what I've got for news for this week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything interesting I might have missed?
No, that just makes me fucking angry.
Yeah, that's
Angry.
So I said it's not happy, but it's worth mentioning because there are apparently people who still don't know about that motherfucker, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let him skate by for free, even if it takes 10 seconds out of my show. Fuck that dude and everything he believes in. That being said, though, that'll bring us to a point where if you've been watching combat sports for as long as some of us have been watching combat sports, then you'll know that what you like to watch comes on at a certain time. It comes on at a certain channel. You can find it in a certain way, and you start to develop a set of metaphorical blinders, if you will, and you lose a little bit of the punchykicky forest for the combat sports trees. Well, luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person that's out there diligently and delicately fingering the pulse of the MMA world, helping keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, like I always like to do, gotta start with the trash. Take that shit out first and work our way towards the fun stuff. I mean, there's a good bit on this card you can easily say is trash, man. It's a pay-per-view. It's definitely not one of the greatest pay-per-views. This is kind of just how it's been this year. There's been a lot of bullshit and rumors about fun stuff, and there hasn't been any fun stuff. There hasn't been any real good fights yet this year. Even the last couple of them, kind of rough. I am excited to see Valentina, like always, but I really want to see her fight Wei Lee. That's probably going to happen later this year. She gets this one done, but the whole card just feels like a drag, in all honesty. But the shit that I'm guaranteed throwing in the trash. Brad Katana. It was a big one. I don't understand why he got his second chance in the UFC. I think he's going to get his ass whooped by another young kid. This kid he's fighting, Begzat Almakan, he had a pretty competitive fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. That kid's 27 years old, so I kind of have a feeling that he's going to give Brad Katana a nice ass whooping. And Gavin Tucker, another guy I'm going to throw in the trash there. Dude's 38. not very active in the UFC. I don't think he's going to do too well this weekend. You got Ayman Zahabi. I hate this fight they gave Jose Aldo. Ayman is on a 5-fight winning streak, but the dude is not really a contender. He shouldn't be getting pushed towards the rankings. He definitely shouldn't be getting. It's more so they're fucking up Jose Aldo. The last few fights that we could be having, could be doing something fun if you're not going to help him try to climb towards the title again. The shit just is a kick in the nads. You throw Charles Radke up in there. He calls himself Chucky Buffalo. The kid just puts his foot in his mouth a lot. He's got a little bit of power behind him, but he's not a great fighter. Let's just be honest here. As a whole, I'm throwing the Marc Andre Barrios and Bruno Silva fight in the garbage. But yeah, that fight's probably going to be one of the worst on the entire card this weekend, if we're being honest. Barrios lost 3 in a row. Silva lost 4 in a row. Both these dudes are on the older side of things. Even when they were younger, they're kind of back and forth and clunky with how they fight. Just don't see us getting a very entertaining one there. And then you got Ivan Urslan, this kid coming in, getting beat by Iwan Kujalaba, having the fucking knockouts and the hype behind him coming in, just getting his ass whooped. I feel like he's going to lose again. Navajo Sterling's one of my contenders. So that's just how I'm shaking that one out. The last shit that I'm throwing away this weekend is the dumbass on the main event. Bilal Muhammad, man. It's not even because he's one of the worst fighters or he doesn't necessarily deserve to be there. He's just an okay fighter. He's always been a mid-level fighter. He doesn't do anything great. He's got some good wrestling to him. He's had himself a good run, but he also hasn't fought a lot of the really young contenders. For being honest, he had kind of an easy way up. And Leon isn't the greatest. It's just this is the first defense. I think he's overlooking Jack, but he's overconfident in general. The dude's just cringy as shit. That's the biggest reason why I throw him in the trash. Just the way that he fights, his fighting style in general, just makes you want to fall asleep. And I might just do that if Jack Dillon at Atlanta can't, defend the takedowns and can't give us an entertaining fight this weekend. I'm gonna be fucking passing out during that last fight. Just gotta fucking be honest. Ball deserves to go in the trash. His personality and shit. Got the championship. Respect to you. But dude, just trash. He's the definition of trash in my eyes. The on the fence stuff, I got a fight and a fighter here. The fight that I've got on the fence, the contender, this is the co-main event. Valentina versus Manon Fiorot. I got this on the fence, not because I think, I don't know who's going to win. I think Valentina's going to win, kind of guaranteed, and that's why it's on the fence for me. I feel like this isn't going to be the funnest thing in the world. Like, it's not going to be a great watch. Valentina might have to use all the mixing of the martial arts. She may not get a finish, right? And we love Valentina. If she gets the win, she gets the win. I'm going to be happy. But in all honesty, it might be a 5-minute kind of sloggy fight, similar to what we've seen in Valentina's last couple fights against Alexa. She definitely looked a lot better in that last fight. I definitely think she's a better striker than Manon Fiorot. And if it goes to the ground in any way, shape, or form, Valentina's better. So I could also expect Valentina to just whoop this chick's ass, dominate her, get the finish. That's where it's on the fence, right? Like, Because even if it's just that, 5 rounds of Valentina beating the shit out of this girl, she goes out there and gets a quick finish, that's going to be fun to see. So it could be fun. Maybe Fiorello actually is pretty good with her boxing. We haven't seen her have a lot of tests herself. She hasn't fought a lot of those younger girls that are at the top of the flyweight division. So I'm interested in it, but I'm kind of on the fence about it. And then the fighter I'm on the fence about is Benoit. Benoit Saint Denis, man, he's lost his last couple of fights. This is a real easy one. Now that Joel Alvarez had to pull out with the injury, you get a kid coming in on a few days' notice. He's a Canadian. He's got the crowd behind him, but they're serving him up an easy one. This should be a piece of cake for Benoit. And if you take this loss, you're really fucking putting yourself in the shitter at this point. So I had to put him on the fence this weekend. If he wins, he's not automatically contender again, but the dude's been so fun, they're going to give him another exciting fight. It's fun, at least, that they gave him something still. They kept him on this card. True contenders, though, I mentioned Navajo Sterling. I like this kid. He's a little green still. He's only had the 6 fights, but he's got a crazy amount of knockout power. He didn't do the greatest in the sense of achieving a finish in his debut, but he looked pretty good. The striking overall dominance in the fight. The kid's looking talented. We haven't seen somebody that's really good with their grappling go after him yet. I don't think we're going to see that this weekend either, though. This Ivan Urslan dude's going to go in there, try to slug it out with them. We're going to see one of them fall. Same with the Kutalaba and Bukowskis fight. I think both of those might be a little entertaining just because, both of them come to a finish. I did have the Benoit and Joel Alvarez fight as a contender. Obviously, Joel had to pull out. So Benoit's just on the fence there. Jasmine Jasdavicius, Mike Malott, the Canadians, got to put them in the contender spot. Mike Malott kind of took a drop, losing to Neil Magny. He's not the youngest either, but he could still bounce back. Don't necessarily see him being champion, but he's been a fun fighter since he came in. Definitely, they keep using him like this. Throw him on those cards when they go to Canada and shit of that sort. He's going to be a big favorite. He's going to bring a big pop. So, Jasdavicius, though, she's the true contender at this point. She beats Andrade. It's a good name for her, and she's working her way up in the rankings. I don't know who she'll get at that point because of where things are at, kind of booked up there in the top 5, but she's working her way up. Natalia Silva, same thing. She beats Alexa Grasso. She's like right there. I think she's going to have to wait, no different than Jillian Robertson or Verna Jandaroba in the strawweight division, because I think we genuinely might get Valentina and Zhang Weili later on this year if Valentina wins this weekend. The fight gods love to, shit on our hopes and dreams. But me, they're sitting here doing the exact thing all of us are doing. Hoping and praying that those bad. We've sacrificed a lot this year. You bastards need to pay up. That's how I feel. And they may feel disrespected with me talking that way, but they can eat my nutsack at this point. This is bullshit. We almost made it through half of this year, and we've got nothing but shit fights. These fight gods. What else can we do? What else can we give them? They can't come down to earth so we can suck them off or some shit. So come on, give us some good fights. I'm sick of this crap. Then Jack, that's how I'm finishing it off. Jack's the big contender. I know he's getting the title fight, right? So obviously he's a fucking contender, but just the thought. 28 years old. Everybody thinks this kid's kind of weak on the takedown defense because of his fight against Basil Hafez and then Gil. He's been able to be taken down, but he's also gotten up Even though he kind of was losing that fight against Gill, he still found the finish. He had a broken arm too, so maybe shit would have been different in the first place. He found the finish quicker. Maybe he wouldn't have lost the first fucking couple rounds. Kind of shit would have looked different. I'm just saying. Um, we don't know. This kid's really fucking good. That's the one thing we do know. We know he's got some potential glaring weakness in the ground game. And yeah, Bilal Muhammad's dick sniffer, and he's going to try to take him down and do nothing but that. He's not fun personality wise like Marab, so we don't give him the pass on this shit either. It's just the truth. Marab makes it fun too. I don't know how, but just the way that his cardio goes, he never fucking stops going. He doesn't even, strike a lot, but he makes it fun. Bilal, there's just nothing fun about it. And it'd be really great. That's all Jack needs to do. We've seen he's got a lot of power in those mitts, man. Just get him once. You just get him on the right spot. We've seen Bilal lose before. When he first got in the UFC, I mean, he's been knocked out before. He's lost before. Yeah, good on the dude for having a huge win streak and fucking climbing your way up there. But it's kind of the same with Leon, I feel. Both of them had weak. Same with Colby, too, working his way up to getting title shots. He just didn't win the title. They all fucking had really weak schedules. They got to fight a bunch of dudes on their way out, a bunch of older guys, just easy matchups. Welterweight's just kind of been that way for a while, where we haven't had the great contenders. That's why I'm rooting for this dude so hard this weekend. Not just because I dislike Bilal, but we need that. Because there's also so many other fucking fresh guys. Sean Brady, Ian Gary, you got Joaquin Buckley. You got so much now building up in this division. You finally get these old. It's same with lightweight. Hopefully we're getting. No offense to the old dudes, but you're at that point. Have some fun legend fights, and let's work this fucking because we haven't had a lot of fun title fights. It's just been bullshit lately. So, let's go. Hope Jack wins. We get Jack facing Islam. Could you imagine it? He'd become such a superstar. No matter how quiet this kid is, he fucking beats Bilal this weekend in any way, shape, or form. Becomes a champion. When we know Islam's been moving up, he beats Islam some fucking how to defend the belt. Oh, good Lord. The fucking boots that'll get strapped to this kid. That's why I had to throw him in the contender. And that was my explanation as to why. Because this kid's literally, we finally always got that potential in some people for them to get blasted to the moon, become a real star. And they don't live up to it most of the time. God damn it. We need something. Come on, man, down under. What you boys got? I know you probably agree with me on Jack for sure. Let's see what TJ shits on.
This may be the first time in our show's long history where I legitimately agree with everything you said tonight. My mind is absolutely fucking blown right now.
Hey, I'm trying, man.
I'm expecting there to be some one glaring error in there. There's not a goddamn one. You get a perfect score. I literally have nothing to add to this conversation. You fucking nailed it tonight.
Yeah. I've been missing it. That's all I can say.
Congratulations on hitting your grand slam. There you go.
This one's easy. This one's easy though, too. That's another thing. I can't take full credit because this is a shit fucking card. It is easy to
Take
shit
the
on.
credit when you can get it. Because I've
And
seen you make shittier calls.
I'm taking it. I'm just what I'm saying. Staying humble, sir.
It's okay to gloat this time. Because
Humble
next
and
time
hungry.
probably won't go this well.
Yeah.
So
No, I'll just
I
do the same
agree.
thing next week. I'll just shit all over next week too, because next week sucked worse.
Yeah. No, I agree. You pretty much crushed it out of the park here. The one thing I will add is that prior to coming to Canada, literally just like 3 weeks ago, I was very adamant about trying to make a point to give credit to the UFC that when they leave the apex, which they rarely fucking do anymore, but when they do leave the apex, they generally will fill the vast majority of their card wherever they go with semi-local fighters, people who have some type of tie to the area where they're bringing that card. And then the UFC came to Kansas City, and there were 2 Missouri fighters on the fucking card. And then at the last minute, when there were some switcheroos, there became 4 Missouri fighters on the card, and they made 2 of them fucking fight each other. Now they come back to Canada for, I believe they said, the first time in a decade or so. And they bring 5 Canadians to the card. It makes it real hard to try to shine a silver lining kind of light on a situation like this. Oh, is there 6? Wait. Oh, yeah, Brad Katona. I missed Brad Katona. That's right. I didn't scroll down far enough. You're right. So I apologize. So they have 6. So
He
there's
doesn't
2
matter
more
anyways.
Yeah, that's as I said. Everybody forgot about Brad Katona, so it fits. But no, Kansas City, they brought 4 Missouri fighters to the fucking card and made 2 of them face off. They come to Canada for the first time in too many fucking years, in my opinion, and they bring 6 fucking fighters on a card this big. This is one of those cards that would have absolutely benefited to swap out some of these fucking, contractual obligation fights, I say with air quotes for those listening, that are on the prelims, for some other contractual obligation fights with more fucking Canadians. This card, I believe, as of 2 hours ago, one of the podcasts I was watching, one of the gentlemen is from Montreal and was not excited to have a literal hometown pay-per-view that he gets to go cover as a fucking MMA journalist. And he said when he looked this afternoon, there was still 1,800 seats available, and that the Canadians are pissed that they price hiked this card just like they've done every other fucking card for the last how many months in a row, and that the Canadians just aren't going to sell this fucking arena out. So Dana is not going to get his prize record gate speech at the end of the fucking night because the Canadians have had it and they're not giving him their fucking money anymore, which is exactly what we keep saying. I understand that it's a fickle beast being a fan of combat sports and especially being a fan of the UFC. But we have gotten to the point where the dollar will outweigh the word because Dana and Mick and the matchmakers have long ago stopped actually listening what the fans who make this organization possible want. Now they pay attention to every time they go anywhere, they sell it out. It's a record gate for a record attendance for wherever they go, and it's a record gate for being on the road every fucking weekend. There has to be a fucking tipping point, and there has to be a point where you stand up with your fucking dollar and you say, if you're going to feed me bullshit, I'm not going to fucking buy it. I'll sit at home and I'll watch it, or I'll go to fucking Buffalo Wild Wings and I'll eat some fucking wings and drink some shitty beer instead of giving you the fucking money. Canada has apparently put their fucking foot down, and I tip my goddamn cap to them for doing so. Not the worst card we've had this year by any stretch of the imagination, but absolutely a disgrace for a pay-per-view, let alone a pay-per-view they put 2 fucking titles at the top of. This card does not reflect having 2 fucking titles on it in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. And I'm glad that Canadians agree and they're going to fucking show out for it. So I'm going to be real curious to see how many empty seats are in that arena when we actually get to Saturday. But I think you nailed it on pretty much every goddamn fight point along here. So bravo, Christian.
Oh yeah, I agree with that shit too, man. They're gonna say the same thing, fucking new gate record, and it's just because of those price hikes. Like we even fucking saw it, when they came to Kansas City, fucking prices were a little fucking high. I mean, they came down like right before he could have fucking bought some tickets right before for real cheap, I guess. But it's not cool. It's not cool what they've been doing, man. And then this one's kind of this pay per view's we're getting the same thing. You mentioned that we got 2 title fights. It's not the greatest pay per view in the world. Next fucking pay per view next month is the same thing. They're just feeding us the same bullshit with Juliana and fucking Kayla and Sean O'Malley Marab too. We all know how both of the fights are gonna go, so it'll be boring the same way.
They're definitely outpricing us. As a just a lowly middle class citizen, they're legitimately fucking outpricing their biggest buyers, which is going to be the middle class. Yeah, you always see the who's who on the camera, but that's only like one, not even a percent of the people that fill those arenas.
Not to
Those
mention most of
arenas
those
are,
tickets are comped.
those guys are guys like me, you, the guys on the panel here, any of you guys that are listening. Generally, we're the ones that they're outpricing, and that really fucking sucks because I'd like to go to more events, but they're too fucking pricey, too rich for my blood. I'm not getting enough bang for my buck out of that, especially when I know, to be honest, I'll get a better view at home.
Yeah, we saw it just a couple of weeks ago in Kansas City. Yeah, like Chris said, the exact same seats, because we looked like a week or so before the fight actually happened. The exact same seats that we sat in when we went to go see UFC Kansas City 2 years ago were something like $275, I think is what we saw them at the last, before they dropped it the last fucking minute. They were almost $300 for the same exact fucking seats. They almost doubled the price of the seats that we were in.
Yeah, because they were 150 a piece, if I remember correctly.
They were, yeah. And that card was much better with Max fucking Holloway on it and shit. Like I was not willing to pay $300 to watch Anthony Smith retire. Like I didn't even consider planning my fucking trip to Kansas City this year for it. When they were going to double the ticket price and give us a worse quality, I kept my money and I sat home.
That's it for me. Much love, boys.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that will bring us to the point in the show where we have got a pay-per-view upon us, which means this weekend we will have an episode of the pregame show. And if we've got an episode of the pregame show this weekend, that means inevitably we've got to have ourselves our fan favorite segment tonight, Casual Corner, which means we are going to need ourselves a casual to hop in here in just a second. Presto changeo, hopefully.
There we go.
What's
What's
happening,
up?
Cam? All right, sir. So we have got ourselves a pay-per-view. So we have got a pair, not just of fights to give you a casual pick for, but a pair of title fights at that. So you get to casually pick title fights here for us this evening. So
Sounds good to me.
we start with the ladies. We've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot in the co-main event for the ladies' belt.
I'm taking Valentina.
Good pick. Good pick. That brings us to the main event, which will be the men's welterweight strap. Bilal Muhammad taking on Jack Della Maddalena.
The guy that I can't pronounce his name. The second one.
Jack Della Maddalena, JDM.
Definitely. Just because the other guy's boring as shit. Like, you guys are right. I've watched him fight a couple of times, and I get up and I go to the bathroom and let the dog out. And then if I hear an "oh shit," then I might come back. But
Yeah, no, that is the exact right response for that situation. Absolutely 100%. So Thank you very much for your casual picks, and the folks will have to tune in again Saturday to see us talk some more shit about UFC 315 coming up from Montreal.
Very much so.
Thank you very much, sir. And with that being said, that'll bring us to the point where we have one particular segment of the show that does require its own individual disclaimer. So, if you will, me. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does give you the option to come to their site, create yourself a free account, and make fantasy style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups. So we made one. I call it I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965. However, you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group. Let us know who you are, and we'll hold your picks accountable with our picks and a little thing that we call Tapology with TJ.
All right, you cheapskate bastards. You heard what he said. Tapology is absolutely fucking free. Come over there and make yourself a free account, because we know you like free. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to us. Free. Join the group. I'm No Bookie, Group 965, however the fuck you want to search it. Let us know who you are. We'll pat you on the back when you do well. We'll tell you when you stomped on your own dick or smashed a ball because you sat down on it funny. Either way, join. It's a good time. You don't have to tell us who you are, but it's still free to join. May as well do it. Get in there, see where you stack up against everybody else. Now, being as we were off last week, that means the previous week didn't get talked about either. So I've got 2 weeks of backup that we need to do here. So we're going to jump all the way back to the two weeks previous, which would have been the Machado Gary and Carlos Prates card, which would UFC Fight Night Kansas City, the one that was absolutely, well, for lack of better terms, not great. There was a hell of a firefight down in the bottom spots there. Just want to make that very clear. Old Vindog and the meter himself were trying to see whose dick they could stomp on the hardest. And it looks like Vinny decided he could stomp just a wee bit harder than Meter could, because Meter only beat him by 10 points. A fucking rough week. You boys were not doing yourselves any favor. Now, I want to let this be known. It was actually a three-way fight, but only two of them could stomp on dicks. Donna was busy over there tripping over fucking lips and just barely scooted by 5 points ahead of the meter. So there was a little weird situation going on there down there. There's a little menage a trois, as it were. Two guys, one girl with a cup. That's what we'll call that. Now, that brings me up to the top of the leaderboard, which, ironically enough, was myself that week. 11 of 14 correct, not great, but 780 points. Christian wasn't far behind me at 755 with 11 of 14 correct as well. Overall, the group did great. Everybody was above the 500 mark, so kudos to everybody. We're going to skip right from that right on to last week's, which would have been Sandhagen and Fitty. Figueredo, that was in Des Moines, fucking Iowa. Man, they were a fucking rowdy crowd there. There was a whole lot of fucking hollering and booing going on that week. Looks like Vinda had a bit of a rough week last week. Apparently, he didn't have enough fun stomping the week previous, so he decided to stomp it out one more time. I hope he rolls it up, puts it back in his pants. We can't have that again. Surprisingly enough, 2 weeks in a fucking row, I managed the top spot. Don't know how. 8 of 12, not great. But it was also a really weird fucking card. Well, there was a lot of fights that did not go the way anybody thought was going to go. I mean, almost everybody was above 500 in the group, but we were all just barely above 500. It was a rough fucking week last week. Now, knowing that we are going into a pay-per-view, that can all change. So I'm not gonna fucking drag anybody through the mud this week too bad, or fucking pat anybody on the back that great. We just got to get our shit together for the pay-per-view week this week. So that being said, I'm gonna switch gears here, and we're gonna move over to the odds for this week, and we're gonna be going back to using Caesars this week. Overall, for this double title fight thing we've got going on, the odds are pretty goddamn even across the board. There's very few that are wide on here. So I'm going to touch on the ones that are, I'll say, minimally wide, and then give you the one actual wide odd on the cards, and then of course the co-main main. One of the smaller wider odds here is going to be going the Eamon Zahabi and Jose Aldo. They've got Jose coming in as a minus 205 favorite over a plus 175 in Zahabi. Really don't think that that's the case. I still think Jose is going to dog walk him, but that's just my own thoughts. I think those odds could be a touch wider. The next set of wider odds, I keep saying wider, they're really not that fucking wide. But Alexa Grasso and Talia Silva. I've got Silva coming in as a minus 270 favorite over the higher ranked Alexa Grasso as a plus 220 underdog for Alexa Grasso. Makes sense though. I really still am on that train of Alexa Grasso is not as good as the UFC thinks she is. I really don't. I mean, there's a reason why she got dog walked in the park when she took her title fight. She got dog walked for a reason.
That and Natty Ice is kicking ass and taking names, so I think she's on her way
Yeah,
out for sure.
Silva's going places. She might have a legitimate shot of having a decent run at the title. Oh, the next wider one here on the card here, there's actually two of them with exactly the same odds, with just different sets of fighters. So I'm going to cover the both of those, and then we'll move on to the widest odds on the card. The first one's going to be Jasmine Vicious. Jesus fucking Christ, I can't talk. And Jessica Andrade. They've got Andrade coming in as a plus 260 underdog. Vicious as a minus 330 favorite. I like the odds on that. We know Jessica Andrade is on the tail end of her career. Yeah, we saw her get a 3-fight win streak. Then she lost one, then bounced back, got another one. But, that's kind of been the tail of her career, though. But those 3 fights that she lost in the row in the last 5 is kind of a telling sign there. I'm just saying. Then the other one that matches with the exact same odds is Ivan Ersland and Navajo Sterling. They've got Sterling coming in as the minus 330 favorite, and Ersland coming in as a plus 260 underdog. Fucking adds up. I'll say it. It fucking adds up. We know Navajo is still a little green, wet behind the ears, you may call him, fresh out the womb, whatever you want to say. But he's got some potential. He's just young in his career. That's all there is to it. Now, for the widest odds on the card, you would never guess, but it's a short notice replacement fight. Benoit Saint-Denis and Kyle Proplik, or how the fuck he's saying that goddamn name, I don't know, and I honestly don't care. Kyle is sitting as a plus 750 underdog, and Benoit Saint-Denis as a minus 1200 favorite according to Caesars. Just fucking crazy considering Benoit's had a rough go of it in the last couple outings. But I mean, at this point, he's getting a legitimate can to just show out against and just go in there and show why people did fall in love with watching fucking Benoit Saint-Denis fight. Because up until those last 2 fights, he was a force to be reckoned with. But now, is he tested too much? Or will this be the thing that he needs to snap his ass back into gear and get moving again? I mean, former Special Forces French operative. The dude's a legitimate badass, but
On that note, you would know better than most other folks. I was having a discussion this afternoon, and a gentleman with, as well as myself, to be fair, zero military training whatsoever, tried to tell me that a military combatives class would have zero impact on MMA training. Nothing that you learn in a combatives class would have any application, and I find that a little hard to believe.
Let me fix this right here. I can tell you the U.S. Army combative system was overhauled prior to me getting in by a certain MMA legend that a lot of you would probably know by the name of Hoist Gracie. I don't know if that name rings a bell or anything, but he overhauled the U.S. Army's combative system as a whole. So it's heavily based in jujitsu. And I will say, it will have an effect in an MMA fight. Weird. So yeah, like you guys look at guys like Brian Stan. He was part of that. There was a reason why Brian Stan was such a fucking badass. Guys like what's his fucking name? My brain is
Tim Kennedy.
Tim Kennedy. There you go. Yeah, another badass motherfucker. Weird Army combatives training. Whoever the jagoff was that said that, feel free to throat punch them because they don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. But you know,
I'm just going to clip that and send it to him. But thank you. That's exactly what I wanted.
either way, again, you, sir, are a fucking jagoff. Don't talk out of turn when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All right, moving on to the co-main event in Manon Fior and Valentina Shevchenko. Surprisingly enough, Caesars is a little wild here. It's pretty close to a coin flip, but they have Manon coming in as a minus 135 favorite over a plus 115 in Valentina. Little crazy, but still they have a kind of a coin flip. And I can understand the coin flip aspect of it because Manon is a legitimate badass on the feet. Not as great on the ground as Valentina, so I think it's going to depend on where it takes place. But Valentina in her own right, pretty good on the feet as well. Oh, moving on to the main event, which is going to be Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena. I've got Maddalena coming in as a plus 150 underdog and Bilal coming in as a minus 180 favorite. So, you know, another relative coin flip. I mean, you got a guy who's basically coming in because somebody else couldn't fight, getting pretty close to coin flip odds. Think if Shavkat would have not gotten injured, how flip-flop those odds would have been, because Bilal would have been the big fucking underdog there. I'm just saying. And I'm not throwing any shade at Jack Della Maddalena. He's ranked, what, number 5 for a reason? He's a legitimate badass. But he's no Shavkat. So, just putting that out. But I still think he can dog walk Bilal. Or Bilal. But yeah, we're going to call him Bilal. Fuck that. He doesn't get a regular name. But yeah, that's all I got this week. Come join us over on Tapology, Group 965. I'm no bookie. However you want to look it up, it's fucking free. We know you like free because you watch us for free. If you weren't watching us for free, that means you're a member of Patreon and making this show possible. And for that, we thank you. But if you're still one of the freebies, at least go join Tapology and hop in the fucking group. Join us for some fun.
Damn right. Well said. Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So, that will bring us to the point. If you've been following this show for any significant amount of the time, you'll probably know what's coming. If you are new, you will know by the terrifying gif that rolls across the screen here that this is the point in the show where we end the ha-has and we get down to a little bit more serious things. We stop joking around and we bring it a little more head-to-head in a little segment that we call The Pit. If you're listening, you'll just know because I said stuff weird like that. But that being said, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we like to call the pit. So we will put combatants in here head to head. This evening, we are going to have Golf T versus slow bake here, because after the last week and a half that I've had, my brain is too fucking frazzled. I'll be lucky if I can remember to ask questions here. So at that point, I will be able to go down and actually talk here, but I might need a little bit of help actually going over the scoring system, because sometimes the smooth parts of my brain take over and the lumps don't hold the information like they're supposed to. So if only there was a person around that could help us do some judging.
Oh,
Look at that. I'll be damned. We got a judge on hand. So gentlemen, are you ready to get in the pit?
Let's fucking
Good
do it. We
shit.
gotta have something to root for this weekend.
All right. So we'll keep this as fair as possible here. Galti, as the returning champion, I will give you the pick, heads or tails, to see who goes first.
Tails.
It is indeed tails.
Tails never fails.
How would you like to do this, sir? You want to go first, or you want to make the kid go first?
Well, since he is feeling a little under the weather, I'm gonna give him a little more time to prepare. I'll go first. I'm feeling generous. I feel like he needs to catch his breath a little more over there.
Very gracious of you, sir. Very gracious of you. Much
Yeah.
appreciated. Spirit of
Least I can do for
competition.
those young guys. Don't know how to fight through this stuff as well.
All right. So, on that note, we will kick things off with you here, sir. So, we have got ourselves an interesting Canadian card up ahead of us this weekend with a pair of title fights, but we'll get to them in just a minute. We torn this card pretty much down to the bare bones and chewed up about as much as we could. But this is the point where I would like to give you an opportunity. If there's folks hanging around you when this card comes on, and there is just one fight that you have the opportunity to make sure everyone within earshot is paying attention, because this one is the one that they need to see on this card, sometimes referred to as the fight of the card here. Which one would you call that?
I really wish there was an obvious winner on this card, but there's really not. A lot of them are solid fights, but there's not an oh my god moment for me on here. However, if I am gonna do it, I'm gonna go strongly in a direction that I don't think anybody else will go in on this. And that is come in here and watch some guys fight for walking papers. Marc-Andre Barriel and Bruno Silva. Somebody's getting fucking walking papers on their way out the door with the fucking loss streaks that these guys are on. This might be the best show these motherfuckers ever put on, because they know they're fighting for their careers.
Very valid possibility. Very valid possibility. They damn well could be a loser goes home match. For sure. Interesting. So that'll bring us across the cage here over to you, Christian. So, of all the fights on this very mid Canadian 315 card we've got this weekend here, if there was just one that you have to make sure anybody around you is paying attention, because it could be the one that makes the card worth watching, which fight would you call that?
Well, we all know our hardcore fans, or even some casuals, know their ways around paying for the pay-per-views. So one of those fights on the main card is what I'm looking at here. Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva, man. Grasso was the champion. She did have some competitive fights with Valentina. She is pretty well rounded. She's actually got some slick boxing skills. Natalia Silva as well has looked pretty fucking good. Is on a hell of a winning streak. Finishes damn near everybody she faces. This is going to be an exciting fight. And both of them are bombshells to boot. So if you're a casual fan, you get to enjoy those nice camera angles and things of that nature. I'm just saying, throwing that out there as well. To me, that's the exact thing. This is the, you know, shout 'em out fight for somebody hasn't necessarily gotten into fighting that much, especially for a women's mixed martial arts fight. This is the one out of the few on this card I'm probably the most excited for. Right? He's got the best potential, you know, to actually deliver us a good fight.
I can absolutely see that. I love Valentina. Manon's very fucking interesting, but neither one of those ladies are nearly as fun to watch fight as maybe Natty Ice and Alexa Grasso are. So I absolutely agree that the aesthetics of this particular match might be a little more hard to ignore in that matchup. I definitely will give you credit there. So
Fuck's sakes, would you guys stop dancing around it and just say gratuitous ass shots?
hey, that's on the cameraman. I can't control what they point that camera at. All I'm
It's not
saying is
even the
that there's an
cameraman.
opportunity for them.
Guaranteed there's a cameraman pointing at it. It's the guys in the fucking truck running the shots.
Very point. The guy, very, very, very correct. The truck
And
cutting
depending
to
on how
said
long those
gratuitous
are up
ass
there,
shot.
you know what they're doing in the truck.
Yeah,
Right.
they only really do it in the ladies' fights that got the cake on them and then look good. We've seen the ladies' fights; they ain't looking that good. They ain't getting those gratuitous ass shots.
Yeah, no,
Those
they get
producers,
crowd
those
shots.
producers are in the camera guy's ear, like, "Hey, hey, these bitches look good. Let's go. Come on, we're WWE in this shit a little bit. Let's get those ass shots now, boys. Come on now."
Very true. Very true. So, that being said, that will flip things over on the other side of that coin to round two here. In round two, we will kick things off with Christian here. So, Christian, if there is one fight that everyone around you has to watch, that inevitably means on the other side of that coin, there's one that you can use to take your dogs for a walk, to go crank one out, get yourself a cold beer, have something to eat, one that you just don't need to fucking pay attention to because you already know it ain't gonna be worth a shit. Which card or excuse me, which fight on this card are you using as your bathroom break, so to speak?
Well, I mean, there is a good few of them that you could throw on here, right? But I'm gonna throw this the other side of things. What TJ just said there for his go-to fight to watch, I'm throwing as my shit fight. Man, I think this is going to be one of the worst fights on the card. This middleweight fucking fight is going to be the walrus slap fight of all middleweight fights, man. Bruno Silva versus Marc Andre Barrio. Both of them are on horrible fucking losing streaks. Both of them been getting knocked the fuck out. Neither one of them have ever been good, even in their primes. They're not necessarily the what you would call guys that go out on their shield to get got fighters. Maybe Mark a little bit more than Bruno Silva, but it is just not. This isn't going to be good. You'd love it to be good. You'd love to see a finish come out of it. But what I think we're going to see is two old dudes that are close to that heavier weight class. So they're potentially going to do a little hugging, a little bit of slogging, and what fighting they do give us is not going to be very sharp, technical, or entertaining to see. If neither one of them clip each other or get a fucking knockout, it is going to be a rough 15 minutes. So this is the one I would avoid. You fight, you go to the bathroom, beat off, all the good shit that we always say. Enjoy yourself for the good old 15-20 on this one.
Yes, shout out to Mike Heck. I believe this is what they affectionately refer to as a middleweight fight, if ever there was one. So yeah, I can definitely see there is potential for it to either be interesting because they know they're about to get shit canned, or boring as fuck because they both have the potential to be boring as fuck. So yeah, no, I can definitely see that as well. But that'll bring us back across the octagon here over to you, Golf T. If there is a fight on the card that you have to make sure everybody watches, that obviously means that there's going to be at least one that you can use for your bathroom break to get up and relieve yourself and stretch the legs. Which one are you doing that for with the 315 here this weekend?
For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm walking away from Modestas Bukakis and fucking Ian Kunalaba. That's the epitome of a fucking walrus slap fight at fucking light heavyweight. Neither one of those guys are worth your time. Thank God they're not on the main card, because I would advise everyone against buying the fucking pay-per-view if that was the case. In fact, I would advise them from calling Uncle Khabib and figuring out how Uncle Khabib watches fights if they were on the fucking main card. That fight as a whole, go slap your wife's ass. Maybe you'll get lucky in the 15 minutes that piece of shit is running. God knows it's only going to take you 2 minutes, so if the fight only lasts around, you're still good and you didn't have to watch it anyways. It's a fucking win. Just move on from those fuckers. Cut them both, please.
Yeah, I agree. These are both the equivalent of the fat kid in the mosh pit that just windmills. Like, that's the UFC equivalent in both of those fucking dudes. So yeah, I'm not terribly excited about either way that could turn out in that matchup. I agree. I think you're looking at a 15-minute walrus fight. I think you.
Are you talking to anybody or just yourself?
It depends on who's asking. Sometimes one, sometimes the other, sometimes both. That being said, though, that'll bring us back to round 3 here, where we flip the card back over, get Golf Tee back in the seat for the first answer up here, and that brings us to the ladies' fight for the co-main event, the 125-pound belt back on the line. Valentina Shevchenko, first UFC fighter ever, and she's the woman to fill out all 8 rubies on a UFC championship belt. She is literally potentially starting a brand new belt's worth of adventure here with this fight, taking on Manon Fiorot, who has just been literally undeniable in her rise up through the rankings of 125. Somebody has to go home with that strap on Saturday evening and go home as the champion. Do we see and new, or do we see and still at the end of the day? Are you talking to yourself or somebody else?
I was just giving you a taste of your own medicine. You're welcome. But no, in all honesty, this one is generally I'm a huge fan of Shevchenko. However, Manon has been called the beast for a fucking reason. She's only lost once in her pro career. That loss did not happen in the UFC. She is undefeated in the UFC right now. She's on a 7-fight tear right now? I think 7 or yeah, it's a 7-fight fucking tear in the UFC. Came in, KO'd her first 2 opponents, and she's won very decisive decisions in every fight since. She knows how to fucking go 5 rounds. We've seen it already. However, the flip side of that coin, Valentina's been a champion for a long time. Yeah, first one to fill her up with rubies. But also, we found in there that she can be beat. So, yeah, that chink in the armor is apparent. But can Manon manage to fucking reopen that chink and go in there and get the job done? I don't know. We haven't seen anybody. She hasn't fought anybody to the level of Valentina yet. The closest she's came was in her last fucking fight out with Erin Blanchfield. And Blanchfield had a legitimate shot at taking a shot at the title, but decided to fight Manon instead, which she kind of fucked herself. But, to her credit, she did the fighter's thing. Fighter's gonna fight. I still think Shevchenko gets this done, but it's not going to be an easy night at the office for her. I think it's going to take her into like the 3rd round before she can get a legitimate takedown and hold her down. Because from what I've seen out of Manon so far, she's very good at avoiding grappling exchanges and keeping it on the feet. And that's what's managed to keep her win streak going so much. I think it's going to be Valentina will get it, but she's not going to get it until later in the fight. And if she doesn't have it by the middle of the third round, she'll lose the fight to Manon. Because I think Manon will outpoint her on the feet. She's a much better point fighter, in my opinion. Oh, if Shevchenko gets her to the ground before the middle of the third, Shevchenko wins the fight. If not, Manon wins it on points via decision.
Interesting take indeed. I can absolutely see that happening. That's an interesting way to go about it, but I can see that happening for sure. So that'll bring us back across the octagon over here, back to Christian. We have got the ladies' 125-pound strap and a potential super fight on the line in our co-main event here. Manon Fiorot taking on the champ in the Bullet Valentina. Who do you think leaves Saturday evening with that strap around their waist, sir?
So, like you said, TJ had some interesting takes there, man. Like, I feel like it's slightly on the fence on how the fight will go, whether it'll be a little bit boring or really exciting. But the one thing I'm not on the fence about is who will win. Valentina is going to win, and in my opinion, in one sense of a dominant fashion or another. Just is it 25 minutes of her having to use her grappling clinch game and maybe try to avoid the striking if, like TJ said, Manon does actually work it better on the feet. I still believe that the experience is damn sure on Valentina's side. I think Manon, whether she's only lost the one fight, she's been on the good streak. She hasn't, like TJ said, she the last fight Aaron Blanchfield, but she's still really young as well. Rose Namajunas, probably her best performance. And Rose, former champ, but also a little undersized. So that, slight toss up. And in my opinion, still, it's a big question on how good this chick really is compared to Valentina. So no matter what, I feel like this is an easy one because I don't think Manon is anywhere near as well rounded as Alexa Grasso. I also kind of think Alexa having some decent boxing herself, not too much different than Fiorot from what we've seen. So I just, no matter what, think it's going to be domination. But does Valentina dominate her on the feet, get a fucking finish, or does she get her on the ground, get the submission? Do we get excitement? Do we get fun? Or do we get boring? Valentina does what she has to do. And like TJ said, he has a little bit of a tough night, but she grinds it out. I'm more on the side she gives us some excitement this time, and then we have something just like Whaley had her dominant performance earlier this year. We have something to really build up greatly. But honest, it is a little on the fence. But I'm leaning more towards Valentina. Gives us something to be like, oh hell yeah, give us that fucking super fight at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you here. I think Manon has literally the same puncher's chance that everybody's had stepping in there with her. But I personally feel like between the comments about she's going to make her retire and that she's going to take over and set the example for women going forward, she's looking way too far past somebody like Valentina, who's a dangerous and as dangerous as they will ever fucking be right now, starting that new belt, getting shit talked like she's a nobody when she's the most dominant women's champ ever. Like, and then she also knows that in order to set up that Whaley fight, which is the biggest fight for her, she's got to get through Manon. And then you watch Embedded and you see Valentina jogging in the mountains and shit. Yeah, no. I think I'm inclined to agree with you here. I think Valentina gets it done one way or another, whether she's got to be boring for 25 or she knocks the bitch out in a minute 30 with a spinning fucking head kick. I agree with you. I think Valentina takes it either way, but could be an interesting fight for sure, one way or another. That being said, that'll bring us to round 4 here. Flip the coin back over. Christian, we'll go to you first with this one here. In our main event, Bilal, remember the name Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena for the men's welterweight belt, and equally potentially setting up a super fight as well. How do you think this one shakes out at the end of the night Saturday?
This is another one that's slightly on the fence, and it's kind of just because Jack, again, similar to Manon, hasn't fought the top of the top, really. His last fight against Gil, I mean, Gil's getting older. He's towards the end of his career. He's been on a rough losing streak lately, so. And he honestly looked rough the first couple rounds, whether he broke his arm in the first round or not. He's a tough motherfucker to break the arm, keep up in the fight, have the heart, find the fucking finish. So, I mean, he did what he did, all respect, but he has shown some struggles against a dude making his debut in Basil Hafez and then Gil just in the grappling game. And we know what Bilal's going to try to do. So, my fighting brain tells me Bilal's going to dick sniff for 25 minutes. And similar to what I said about the co-main event, we might get 50 fucking minutes of a fight time with those last two fights that just suck, whether you're a hardcore fan or not. Just rough to watch, rough to stay awake, especially when it's going to be around midnight here Central Time. Could you imagine living on the East Coast? That's the thing. I feel so bad for people that live on the East Coast when we get these kinds of pay-per-views. Just knowing that they're up to like 2, 3 in the fucking morning to watch this shit. But that's how I feel. Like, dude, his main event is rough, no matter how, unless Jack is the potential young contender I think he is. I think he's got that potential, but it's just that thing. You never know. These young kids, can he prove it? I mean, we just know how it's going to go. We just know what Bilal is going to try to do. As much as he said, I would love it. That's the biggest thing I'm hoping for. The motherfucker talking all this shit, Canelo hands. Oh, please God, you stupid motherfucker, do it, do it. Just sit there and try to trade with Jack Della Maddalena and just try to box with him. Please God, hell yes, give it to us. Oh, that'd be the let his ego feed. I mean, that a lot of dudes do. You get champion, you get a fucking big head, you get that ego. Motherfucker thinks he's got Canelo hands. You go in there with a true dude that's got power and boxing ability. You go crack, yeah, you just asleep. And we've seen it happen before. Motherfucker's been slept before. He had a rough start on his UFC career. He actually has not beaten a lot of great guys on his way up to the title. So, I mean, we wouldn't be surprised if Jack gets this done. I feel like there's more than a fighter's, the puncher's chance with Jack here in this situation. But I'm just like in a lot of situations in life, putting this in that situation, my expectations are really low. I know what the law is going to try to do, and I'm not going to allow myself to be disappointed too much.
Deer, 6 ounce or 6 pound, 8 ounce, swaddled in a little manger, baby Jesus. Let Bilal try and prove his Canelo hands are real. No, sorry. That being said, that'll bring us back across the octagon here, as it were, to golf tee. Golf tee, we have got a interesting potential matchup, is what I'll call it, in our main event. 170-pound belt is on the line, whether we like it or not. Bilal Muhammad versus JDM. Who leaves as the champion, sir?
Ugh. You know, there's boring fucking wrestlers, and there's good wrestlers in the UFC. Bilal is a boring fucking wrestler. Look, we knew what Khabib was going to do to people. His wasn't boring, though, because he would throw punches while people were down. Bilal just likes to fucking wrestle fuck people. That's it. He's the most boring fucking champ we have had in a long goddamn time. So yes, I'm 100% on board that I hope he thinks he has Canelo hands and he gets the Vicente Luque treatment. Or he just gets fucking slept. Because Medellina has the fucking power to do it and the skill to do it. The only problem I have with this fight, and because look, I want Della Maddalena to win. Anything to remove the belt from Bilal, because, well, fuck Bilal. I'll say it. Fuck Bilal. Anything to remove the belt would be great. The only fucking problem I have with Jack Della is he's still pretty young in his career. Granted, he's fought some good people. I mean, we've watched him fight Gilbert Burns. We watched him fight Kevin Holland. And he managed both of them very well. He fucking finished Gilbert with a broken fucking arm. That's fucking huge. So you know the dude's got the fucking heart to keep swinging even when the arm is broken. Gilbert, also good grappler. I'll say it. So I think there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. In fact, I'm going to go out on this limb and I'm going to say he's not going to let Bilal do anything but pray to God he's got fucking Canelo hands. In fact, by the end of this fight, the only thing people from Chicago are going to have to cheer about is that they have a fucking Pope from Chicago. Because that title is switching hands. It's going to go to Jack Della Maddalena. I don't care how young he is in his career. Bilal is a fucking chump. All he is a wrestle fucking chump. He doesn't have hands. He has not had hands since he's come into the UFC. He's been a wrestler. To his credit, credit where credit is due. He's a very good wrestler, but he has boring wrestling as far as MMA is concerned. I think Jack Della gets it done. We've seen he's had some high caliber fights already, and he's proven that he can manage grappling, stopping takedowns, and still finishing fights. I think Jack Della gets it done. I don't know that he'll finish him, but I think he gets it done overall. I'm hoping he finishes him, and it'll probably be somewhere near, I'm going to guess, the 4th round. And he's going to give him the Vicente Luque treatment, a.k.a. somebody is sleeping and catching hands while they're fucking asleep. And I'm praying to God the ref is on the far side of the octagon, trips over his shoelaces on the way over there, so that way Della Maddalena can just keep fucking teeing off on him. And maybe we get lucky and we never have to see Bilal Muhammad again. But yeah. In fact, you know what? Maybe Bilal should change his religion. He might need to contact the Pope because that's the only way he's going to have any street cred when this fight is done.
Yeah, no, I don't see a whole lot of path to victory outside of crotch sniffing for Bilal, and I absolutely agree. JDM's got the power for goddamn sure. If he connects, he could absolutely change the entire face to the welterweight division Saturday night, quite literally. What's that, Justin? That's right, it is tied up. So we have to go to a round 5. This time, though, round 5 actually is and is not about this card. So, Golf T, I gave you the choice of who goes first this time, so I will let Christian get the choice of who goes first for round 5. Would you like to handle round 5 first, or would you like to make Golf T stick in the lead?
Yeah, I'll go first.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
Oh, look at
Taking
that. The boy caught his second win. Good job, son. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. Atta boy. Good job. Good job. Good job.
So, like I said, a little different this week. This week actually both does and does not pertain to this particular card. My question for round 5, Christian, both the main and the co-main event have the potential to set up a super fight. If Valentina Shevchenko wins, we could potentially see her versus Weili Zhang, which would be fucking spectacular. On the other side of that coin, if Jack Della Maddalena wins, Islam Makhachev could move up and we could have a champ versus champ fight, super fight there. So my question for you, as a fight fan, which super fight could potentially be more exciting? Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev or Valentina Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang?
That's a good question. I like this. Okay, so I'll get into this way. You know, like I was saying earlier, you know, Jack could potentially become a huge superstar. He wins this title over Bilal and then gets that fight over Islam, somehow finds a way to win that fight. That would be an exciting ass fight. But because Jack's still so young, even if he beats Bilal, like knocks him out, exciting fashion, dominates him, whatever the case, right? He's still really young and been in the UFC for such a short amount of time, and Islam's done what he's done. Most people would think it's going to go the one way, even if Jack won it. So, in my opinion, I got a nice explanation for why I think this too. Valentina and Zhang is the more exciting one of the two. For one, both of them the veterans. We've been seeing them for years. They've been dominating for years. We've also thought about this fight in the back of our minds for years. Valentina got to fight Amanda. You know, the Rose fight couple times that Whaley's had. We've had some real fun rivalries between these ladies, but they haven't met each other up. But here's the other thing. I was talking to Vinny about this earlier this afternoon. It's funny. So this is why this question is great in my opinion. Fucking, we could have an all ladies card topping us off at the end of the year when you think about it. Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena coming up here. Kayla wins that. Amanda's already said it. She's coming back. So we get that as the main event on a fucking card, and the co-main event, Zhang Wei Li versus Valentina Shevchenko, making UFC history. Literally 2 women's title fights, heading the bill on a fucking pay-per-view towards the end of the year. We've never had that. They have had us have a main event ladies fight on a pay per view before, but we've never gotten both the main event and co main event being ladies fights, let alone ladies title fights. So that's the biggest thing for me, where that one's really more exciting. Not only do I think we're more excited for those ladies that are veterans, there'd still be some questions for Jack facing Islam, so it wouldn't be as intriguing, in my opinion, as the Whaley and Valentina, because there's so many questions with that. How does that even go? And same thing with Amanda and Kayla. Both of those fights as well would be so interesting, betting odds, and everybody that's a hardcore fan looking into it would be like, I kind of don't know how this is going to go, and that's why it's fun as shit. That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the fucking betting odds on a potential fucking ladies main and co-main event title fight card like that at the end of the year. That would be fucking stupid. That would make Las Vegas just fucking explode. That could be weird. Interesting. Interesting indeed. So that'll bring it over to you, Golf T. So we've got a pair of potential super fights on our hands if the MMA gods aren't going to be assholes to us this weekend. I'm looking at you, fuckers. So if everything works out in our ideal way and we've got our pair of potential super fights at hand, which one do you think would actually be the more interesting super fight?
Here's the kicker. There's not really a more interesting super fight. There's really only one. I can't call Jack Della Maddalena and fucking Islam a super fight. I can't. Because if he wins the title, great. But he's also young in his career. We haven't really seen. This is going to be the biggest name he's ever fought. at this point, and I hate to call fucking Bilal a big name, which is fucking terrible, but unfortunately he's the champ, so it kind of falls under that category. He will have never have defended the belt going into fighting Islam Makhachev, who has defended and beat the brakes off of some of the baddest motherfuckers in the UFC. It's not a super fight. That's literally Islam moving weight classes to fight an up and coming champ. So you really didn't give a good option here. The only correct option on this is Wiley Zhang and Valentina Shevchenko, because they're the only two that have managed to defend belts, regain them when they've lost them, and then become more dominant once they've got them back. Yeah, Christian's right. That does put up the potential of a all women's headliner being co-main and main with two belts on the line. The chances that the UFC lets that actually happen, though, slim to fucking none, because they would probably rather put a wife beater on the fucking main event with the women fighting as the co-main, even though there's a belt on the line, just because, they'll have to live with that for the rest of their life if they were to actually put women's main and co-main on the fucking card and then try to sell it. Well, they're not a big enough bullshit. Those two, you put Amanda fucking Nunes and Kayla Harrison and fucking Shevchenko and fucking Wiley Zhang as the co-main and main on that card, people will lose their fucking minds. Because, look, like it or not, I'll say it now, Kayla Harrison is already a big fucking draw. Amanda coming back blows the roof off the fucking water. And because they're going to do it weight class wise for co-main and main, they would end up being the main event on that card. The co-main would end up blowing everybody's fucking minds because you're one of the most dominant champions in UFC history, male or female, in Valentina Shevchenko, fighting another one who put on one of the greatest fights of all time, male or female, in Wiley Zhang. There's no doubt in my mind with 100% certainty the only super fight that makes sense to make, because the other one makes no fucking sense, is Shevchenko and Wiley Zhang. That's the only thing that's a true super fight. Super fights are just that. They're things that shit in the universe just aligns just right to make happen. And right now, we're on the precipice of that happening for the women in Shevchenko and Wiley Zhang. Not so much on the men's side of the house, because, like I said, I like Jack Della Maddalena. I do. But he's not the superstar where Islam is at right now. And yes, Islam is a superstar, whether he wants to fucking admit it or not. You either love him or you fucking hate him. There's no in between. Jack Della's he's that fucking Australian guy. Fucking goes in there with his sideways nose and beats people up. But he's not a superstar yet. He wins this fight, yeah, that could be the fucking rocket booster up his ass, but he's gonna have to win a couple more before he comes that. So he can't be involved in a super fight. It's not a super fight. That's cool. Somebody moved up a weight class to try to get another belt. That's all that fight would be. So yeah, there's only one right answer there.
So while I give you both credit for both coming up with great, very interesting answers, and I let Justin tally up his scores over here, I'll tell you why you're both wrong. You're both wrong because the MMA gods are cruel assholes and they never let us have fun. They never let us have the fun that we want anyway. So what I presume would end up happening should we get both of these super fights is that, much like Christian said, it would be Valentina versus Weili, most likely on the December card to end the year out. That way, no matter what happens, it's the last big thing UFC fans have to cling on to as they go over the quote unquote New Year's break throughout the end of the year. But if JDM wins, he faces Islam for the main event of International Fight Week in 2 months. and the MMA gods are fucking cruel. So he's probably going to beat the shit out of Bilal after all that shit that Bilal has talked, which is going to set up the super fight in JDM versus Islam Makhachev for the main event of International Fight Week. And because the MMA gods are cruel assholes, Islam Makhachev is going to get Islam Makhacheved. And when he tries to move up, what he did to Alexander Volkanovski is going to happen to him because, yeah, he cuts a lot of weight for 55, but JDM cuts a lot of weight to make welterweight too. And knowing that skinny little fuck is going to come and try and take his crown right away, and the cruel MMA gods that we've got, I think Islam would get Islam. And I think that would be the most ironic and fun way to go. But I give you credit for both of you coming up with very interesting answers on the other side of that, being wrong as they were. That being said, though,
to be honest, you left out a very crucial one, but I'm not even going to talk about that because the MMA gods are cruel, and we should have already gotten the announcement for it to be the main event at International Fight Week at this point. And if you don't know who the fuck I'm talking about, you're probably tuned into the wrong podcast.
I agree. That's why I left that one hanging out there. That being said, though, how's your scorecard looking over there, Justin?
Well, for the first 4 rounds, it was, a back and forth. The first 2 went to Golf Tee, and the second 2 did go to Chris. The last, though, for the grand poobah for the jackpot, I had to go with Golf Tee. There can be only one. That alone, I stopped listening to arguments once I heard the Highlander quote.
I mean, if you don't respect Duncan McLeod, who the fuck can you respect, really?
But yeah, no, it was definitely a good argument back and forth, and yeah, Golf Tee took the victory.
Well done, sir. Well done. Flintlock, thank you very much for stepping in to guest judge for us this fine evening with my smooth brain just barely holding intact. If folks are interested in seeing more of the shenanigans and shit talking that we get up to, you can catch us this weekend, an hour before the prelims kick off here on the I'm No Joe channel, the pregame show with Flintlock and myself here to talk a little shit about 315, a little more in depth as we get closer, in case anything pops off between now and then. Thank you very much, sir. But that being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. In case you are new or you might have forgotten, we do this show pretty much every Thursday when I've got power. And there are fights to talk about on that particular weekend. We try to go live around 9 p.m.-ish Central Standard Time here on youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe. If you don't catch us live, we do leave the replay up, but if you don't catch us live on purpose, I also understand because I do own mirrors. And for that reason, the week after we go live, I upload the all audio version over to anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. And from there, you can pick it up in your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, you name it. It's all there and it's all for free. If you like what we get up to around here, though, you might consider helping us do what we do around here. And if you'd like to, the best way to do that would be patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, please don't give anything you are not able to. But as much as you are comfortable giving, you help us do what we do around here. And in exchange for that, first and foremost, what we do is we put your name at the end of every single broadcast on the channel to let everyone know how awesome you are and helping us. But the secondary benefit, some might say the real benefit for helping us do what we do around here financially, is that you get access to the unaired and the unairable content, the behind the scenes of the I'm No Joe channel, things we legally have to keep behind a paywall and may or may not have gotten us kicked off of OnlyFans as a podcast, those dirty fuckers. That being said, if you like what we get up to around here, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and your notifications are turned on with your subscription wherever you are picking this up. We appreciate you just the same. The other side of that coin, though, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We're not even going to dispute it. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. But when we wrap things up around here at the end of Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun. Fret not, mon ami, we've got more for you, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning, that gentleman over there and his other half will drop their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast and their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down below. Go tell them how awesome they're doing.
Appreciate you, brother. The fun never fucking stops. If you just missed it the other night, Wednesday nights, man, you got to tune into the Brother Golf T Vapes YouTube channel as well. Exactly that, Golf T Vapes on YouTube. You tune into the Foggy Fairway every Wednesday night around 9 o'clock or so. Same thing here. The brothers were talking about before we went live. They weren't doing a lot of mixing last night as much as they were just chilling, bullshitting, and have a good time. So if you're not into the vapes, you don't need to learn any new recipes or mixes. You just pop in, show some love, chill, and have a good time with the boys every Wednesday night. Everything else Golf T Vapes would be doing would be down in the fucking description as well. Show the brothers some love.
Yes, sir. Oh, if you don't realize, we've got a couple days till Saturday and you've got some time to burn. If you didn't know, the meter does many things, more than just Kicky Punchy podcasts. In fact, if you go down below, Linktree / the meter does many things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe, that will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do to fill that time gap between now and Saturday evening when those fights kick off. It's well worth your time. Go spend it. And if you have a spare second in there, go join Tapology. It's fucking free.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Saturday, an hour before prelims start, we will be live here on the channel for the pregame show with Flintlock and myself as well. If there is a good fight finish over the course of this weekend, now that I have home internet again, I will shoot a short to at least show you what happened and give you a quick rundown of what the fuck happened. So if you can't catch fights this weekend, you don't have to worry there. Just keep your eye on the I'm No Joe's YouTube channel on that little shorts tab up at the top, because much like I've done several fucking weeks in a row, I forgot the combat sports menu, so it will be up in short form there probably within the hour. That being said, though, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You could root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do